Are you seriously fired up about growing as a leader in business or church-based ministry? Are you feeling somewhat frustrated about not having realized your full potential in what you've been called to do? Could you do with someone to help you get some extra clarity or to be a sounding board for your plans and ideas? Great athletes have coaches, so do great leaders. The right leadership coach for you will result in an increased sense of clarity, direction, and purpose, dramatically increasing the results you achieve. If you're ready to step up, contact Errol to book a free, no-obligation introductory coaching session and see whether Errol is the right coach for you. Errol takes the lessons learned from his own leadership journey and from his extensive research to help leaders and entrepreneurs to step into their biggest challenges and rise to their next level. Email admin@errollawson.com right now to schedule your call.
Hello, rising generation, and welcome back to the Leadership Podcast. Errol Lawson here, and I'm excited to be with you again this week. As you're probably aware, we're going through our 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. You'll know that from these interviews on the podcast over the last kind of year and a half or so, over 120 now, we've discovered that there are 5 things that leaders do really, really well. So far we've covered vision and the ability to create and communicate a compelling vision. And we're going to talk today about how we create and manage wealth. One of the abilities that effective leaders have, established leaders have, is the ability to create and manage wealth. So as a leader today, hopefully you're going to get some ideas, maybe some prompting, some just some inspiration to figure out how you can better create and manage wealth for yourself or for your organization. So, first of all, why is it important? Yeah. So, in essence, we're talking about your ability to create a valuable product or service and then successfully market and sell that product or service for a profit, right? But why is that important? Well, I remember hearing a story recently about a young man who was living in America with his family, and they weren't the most wealthiest of families, but it happened that one day while the young man was in his room sleeping, he heard a bang come from the bathroom. And so, startled and alerted, he got up and he went in to see that his father was on the floor in the bathroom. His mother came into the bathroom, running into the bathroom, and she was startled too, and they were both just looking at Dad, who's holding his chest and he was clearly having difficulty breathing. And the son says, "Mom, what should we do? Like, we need to call somebody. Let's call the ambulance. We need to get some help. He's clearly, this is a situation here." And his mom says, "Son, I know, but I think he's having a heart attack. And if I call the ambulance, I can't afford to pay for the services that they're going to charge me. We can't do anything." And the son sat there totally amazed at the reality that his dad was almost dying, and yet they didn't have the finances to be able to get the health care necessary that might potentially save his life. I know for that young man, that was a turning point in his life. He realized how important money was. And you see, guys, the thing about money is this. So we may not be in a situation where it's life and death, but literally it can be like that. Money gives us options. It makes it possible for us to access resources. It makes it possible for us to access skill sets, personnel, training, the developmental things that we need to help to grow personally or develop our organizations. Money gives us options, guys. So important. Why else is money important? Because we want our success to be sustainable. We don't want to be one-hit wonders. We don't want to be like a firework that goes up into the sky, makes a big bang, and there's bright lights and a flash, and then it disappears. No, we want sustainable, long-lasting legacy and success for our organizations and for our families. And so money is important to help bring that about. Why else is it important? Because we want to make an increased impact. We want increased influence. And there are things, listen guys, you are listening as well. You probably, just like me, you've experienced life where you've got nothing. You're literally broke and have nothing whatsoever. You've also experienced life where you've got some money in the bank, right? And I know what I prefer. Having money gives you increased influence and impact. Whether you like money or not, whether you got feelings about money or not, this is a fact of the matter, guys. When you have wealth, if you're in debt and you're struggling financially, you are bound by your debt. Your vision is bound by your debt. Your potential and possibilities are bound by your debt. But when you have money, guys, this is why it's important. And we've got to understand this, that money is not just a money. Yes, money is a terrible master, but it's a great servant, right? And we need it to get things done. Why else is it important? Because when we have money, we're no longer relying on grants and handouts and donations. I remember when I first came into ministry, I decided that, you know what? I'm not going to be in a position where I'm dependent upon my church to pay for my salary. I don't want that. I don't have to depend on that. I don't depend on grants and handouts and donations to get my thing done. Now, there's nothing wrong with those things. We need them on occasion. But listen, I don't want to be dependent on that. I want to have my own streams of income so I can be able to get things done. This is why money is important. Why else is it important? Because we need the provision for the vision. Guys, I encourage all of our podcast listeners to do hard things, to step into your challenges, step into your greatness. Have a big vision that's going to scare you somewhat, but it's going to make an impact in this generation. To get that thing done, you're going to need some financial resources, the provision you need for the vision. But I believe as you step out and go after the vision, if you're in the right frame of mind and if you're obedient, you'll get the provision. But you got to have an understanding that you're going to need money to do that. You're going to need money to do that. So that's why I believe it's important. And guys, I could go into so much more. This is such a big topic, but just in this few minutes today, those are some reasons why money is important. And there are several mistakes that we make along the way. And let's be really honest here, right? Some of the mistakes that people make when it comes to money and finances as leaders of organizations or leaders of teams or even of your own family. The number one mistake is this: we spend more than we earn. We live beyond our means. So we're always playing catch up. Many years ago, you may have read this in my first book, From the Postcode to the Globe, where I talked about the fact that I took out a remortgage on my first property, and basically I used the money to invest in a business that I wasn't fully equipped for, I wasn't prepared for, and I ended up spending that money down a hole, really, and it took me a long time to make that back. And the truth was that I just didn't know what I was doing. I had vision, I had passion, I had a desire to make a difference, but I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have the know-how. I didn't have the understanding. And thankfully, by the grace of God, I've got that now, but I didn't have it then. And so I spent beyond my means. I'm sure many of you can relate to that kind of story of just money mistakes that we make along our journey. One of the other big mistakes people make is that they forget that there's a link between our personal finances and our organizational or leadership or business finances. You see, what happens is you'll find this often. There's an organization that's struggling in debt, and they're not managing their finances well. They're not managing their resources well. Well, I guarantee you almost 100% of the time, if you look at the leader of that organization and you ask them or you figure out what their personal money management habits are, you find that there's a correlation between the financial situation of the leader as with the organization. There's a direct link, guys. If our personal money mindset, our personal habits, our personal financial skills are not up to the right standard, it has a direct impact on the organization that we're leading. So if you're thinking about growing a big business or a big organization, get your personal finances in order first of all. Get a debt eradication plan, a savings plan, an investment plan. Have a rainy day account. Put some money aside for an emergency fund. Get your personal finances in order to be able to build into your business or organization. So key. Don't forget that. That's a big mistake that people make. The second one is or the third mistake is that And people think it's just about working harder or being somehow more positive in their attitude. Yeah. So they tell themselves, oh, if I just work harder, I'll get some more money. Or if I just have a better attitude and I'm more optimistic, then money will come to me. And guys, it doesn't work like that. Some of the most hard-working people are out and they're doing jobs for the minimum wage. And they're grafting, they're grinding 12-hour shifts, 15-hour, they're doing overnight shifts, working harder than anyone else. And they're not getting paid a good amount of money for that. It's not just about working harder. And you've been to all the events where you've heard the motivational speakers tell us how great we are, and you know that people come out and they feel great and they're lifted up, but they're the most positive people in the world. But when you check it out, there's some of the most poor people in the world too. They've got the best attitude, they're the most positive and excited about life, but they're not making money. Guys, the truth is this: to make money, you've got to be in an environment, number one, where there's a chance of you being able to make money. So you got to be selling a product or a service or offering something in an environment where it's possible for you to get wealth. If you're trying to sell, I don't know, ice to Eskimos, then you're not going to make money, right? Because it doesn't make sense. You got to be in the right environment with your product or service in order to make money. The second thing is that you got to be willing to ask. The people think, oh, if I'm more positive, it will come. No, listen, people, you've got to be willing to ask for the money. So many people are not willing to ask for the money. Afraid of the conversation, afraid of rejection, afraid of having to, whatever they're afraid of, they say. Listen, you've got to be willing to ask for the money. It's not about working harder or just being nicer. It's about being in the right environment and also asking for the dough. You got to have the sales conversation. Which leads into my fourth and final thing really is that the reason what mistake people make is that they don't ask. They don't set up sales conversations. So they've got a product or service or an offering that or an organization looking to raise some funds, rather than ask people and say, hey, can we get together, have a coffee, and we bring out our brochures, we show them a video, we have a sales conversation, we meet people and we have a chit chat. And we talk around the issue, we talk around the opportunity, and we never get to the sales point in the conversation. We justify why that person wouldn't want to buy our product or service. We justify why we're not good enough to offer this person value. And we have all these kind of negative self-image and self concepts going on, and we don't end up making a sale and bringing money in because we just don't want to have the conversation. It's a big reason why a lot of people, though they're amazing, and guys, you've got to have the positive mindset stuff. Of course you have. You've got to invest in yourself, in self-development, personal development. All that's really important. Hear me right here. But without having sales conversations, it doesn't make any difference. So what's the solution? How do we, as leaders, become leaders that can actually create and manage wealth effectively? Well, firstly, you've got to take responsibility. And what I mean by that is that you can't be blaming anyone else for your current state of financial lack or wealth, whatever it is. You've got to acknowledge that actually, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. If you can know right now by looking at your bank balance and your credit or debit or debt statement, you can look at it and see where you're currently at, and just be really honest about that, and just say, you know what, I need to deal with this. And if it means you doing some courses, if it means you getting some books out, if it means you getting a mentor, if it means you just doing some study and introspection to get the right mindset, to become the right kind of person that can manage wealth effectively, then you have to do that. And listen, there are so many great books I can recommend to you. Dave Ramsey's books are brilliant. There's a great book called Money. Go check it out on by Rob. I can't read his surname, forgive me, but Rob, if you're listening, great book called Money. My friend Andrew Priestley has written some great books. One called The Money Chimp, and just great. And there's so many great books out there on the topic of money and personal finances. You got to take responsibility. If you are in debt, if you're not making money, if you're not investing, saving appropriately, then you can learn how to when you decide to take responsibility. The second thing is this: you really got to get out of the grip of debt. I say this all the time. Money is a great servant, but a terrible master. If we find ourselves in the grip of debt, then what that means is our vision is in this grip of debt. Our potential, our possibilities, our relationships, all our world is under the clamp of this debt. And until we get through this debt, at the very least have a plan to get rid of this debt, we can find ourselves like just restricted in a straitjacket, struggling to move forward. And I know this from personal experience. I spent years of my life in debt because of negative habits. And you gotta confront negative habits, spending habits, buying habits, just buying the wrong stuff, doodads, things that we don't need, things that are not necessarily essential, that we can't afford to have, and we're wasting our money on these things. And we gotta just confront those negative money habits and beliefs. If you believe that money is the root of all evil, then hey, forget it. Listen, evil is the root of evil, right? Money is a great thing if you are in control of it. If it is in control of you, then you're finished, all right? Money only makes you more of the person that you already are. That's what it does. It magnifies what your current nature is. So you got to confront those things, which leads really well to my final point about how we can learn to create and manage wealth effectively. It's about accountability. So we got to get some accountability. I thank God for my wife, because when we got married, like, she had such a more of a disciplined outlook on finance than I did, and with her advice and support and accountability, I was able to make some adjustments in my money management habits that saw me get completely out of debt within a couple of years. But it's because of accountability. And in addition to that, it's that having friends that are also of the same mindset. The law of association says that the 5 friends that we spend the most time with, we end up being like, guys. And so we've got to analyze our friendship circle and ask ourselves, are our friends and their money management habits, or our relatives and their money management habits, are they having a positive or negative impact on our lives? And then begin to surround ourselves with people who are going in the right direction. So a mastermind group or an accountability group that you meet with periodically, who are people who are thinking the same way about money as you are. It makes a difference. Their thinking, their attitudes, their habits will rub off on you. Now, I've only given you a bit of a snapshot today. This is a topic I'm really, really passionate about. I think I've written about finance in all 3 of my books, because I think it's so important. If we get our money mindset right, so much changes for us, guys. So as a leader in your organization, the key thing is this: take responsibility for the finance. Don't leave it to the accountant or to the bookkeeper. You are responsible for it. And if the money in your organization isn't going well, it's only a reflection of you. Yes, you, the leader. So do something about it. Get some education, get some support, take full responsibility. You can do it. You can turn it around when you choose to do that. It's absolutely possible. You can absolutely do it, all right? So, guys, go out there and make an impact in the world. Get your money mindset right. I'd love your feedback on the podcast today. If you got any further questions, you even want to just have a chat about it, drop me an email, errol@errollawson.com. I'd love to have a chat with you, see how we can just talk about this, bounce it around and see how we can be of support, all right? So have an amazing week. I'm really excited for you in your journey. God bless you, and I look forward to speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now. Thank you again for joining us today on the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast. I pray you've been inspired, you've been lifted, you've been encouraged to take your personal leadership to the next level. We really encourage you guys to just take action, make it happen, do something, start somewhere, go out and change the world in some way, big or small. Guys, if you've enjoyed the podcast today, please share with your friends, share with your loved ones, your colleagues, someone out there you think might benefit from hearing this great content. And if you want some more questions answering, you got a question, email me, errol@errollawson.com, or if you want a free 30 to 45 minute coaching session with myself around the leadership challenge or issue you're working on in your business, your church, or in your organization, please feel free to email me right away. We'll get you booked in. It's errol@errollawson.com. Thank you again for listening. Go to our iTunes page, check it out, check out the previous episodes, give us a nice review. That would be awesome. Really appreciate if you could do that for us. We really appreciate you just for being here and listening. Thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Rising Generation.